In terms of one-on-one, well, one-on-three summon battles, Odin is probably the toughest, especially the first time you fight him. Luckily, he's not as big as his Final Fantasy XVI version. Either way, we here at Direct Gaming are going to show you how to actually prepare for the boss fight, then show you a breakdown of said fight, and finally how to unlock this ultimate knight as a powerful summon for your arsenal. So, if you saw our previous guides for Phoenix, Alexander, Bahamut, and so on, then first we got to cover how to prep for the sanctuaries. Then we're going to explain how the battle goes, and finally how you can obtain this summon. Videos for all of those, by the way, in the top right corner if you haven't gotten those already. In order to obtain Odin in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you need to fight him at the combat simulator, which can be anywhere you can find Chadley. Now, we can either fight this summon at max power, which is going to be a real challenge, especially for Odin, or we can be smart about this. Just like with previous and future summons tied to the open world, you need to find and analyze 3 crystals around the area that you are in. So in this case, we are in Nibelheim. Once that is done, you can go ahead and fight Odin at a lower power level to make it a lot easier. I say a lot easier using quotations. Now, before you hardcore Pierce, go into the comments saying a true gamer faces the challenges head on. You will have to find these crystals regardless, so you might as well just do that first, and then you can go ahead and fight the boss. Or I guess you can struggle if you want to. Plus, don't worry, if you want to go back and challenge him later on at full power, or you're doing those hard and brutal challenges later on, then you can just go ahead and do that. The choice is yours, but I know what path I'm taking. Now, you will probably fight the final boss of Nibelheim before really going out and exploring the area, just due to how the story's going and how the pace will be picking up. Plus, you have to get the chocobos, which are required to reach all of these particular sanctuaries. To enhance the summon and make the boss fight easier, you need to find all 3 sanctuaries like we mentioned beforehand. Once you find them, you need to analyze each one and do the correct inputs. It's basically a memory minigame. First one is located right at the beginning of the map when you arrive and after you get the chocobo that uses the water jet. You need to use these to help yourself find the sanctuaries. As before, you will know that you are close by either looking at the map or hitting the stone structures around the area that can send a ball of light towards said sanctuary. Make sure to use the chocobo jet when you're in the water, go all the way up, and then start to move vertical. You can't use this ability if you're on land. Once you reach the cliffside, head over to the sanctuary, complete the minigame, which is actually pretty easy for this one. The second sanctuary is found at the south section of the map near the abandoned factory. You need to use the water to go around on the left side to reach said sanctuary and go through a couple of caves. Then simply complete the minigame. The final one is located at the west side of the map. You'll have to go there by water, as this entire area is covered by water, and through a small cave area as well, similar to number 2. Once you find it, complete the minigame, and you're done. One thing to note, as always, is that you don't have to go to the sanctuaries in any particular order. I myself went in the order of 1, 2, 3, but you can go in any order that you want. Once you have finished all 3 sanctuaries, it's time to finally fight Odin. Fast travel over to Chadley and select Summon Entity Odin. Make sure you scroll down to select the power level 3 and then go ahead and pick your team. Now, you can pick whoever you want, but I 1000% recommend bringing Yuffie, as she is easily the MVP for my run. So for my personal team, I brought her, Cloud, and Barret. For materia, one of the best ones you can bring, obviously, is going to be Barrier. And if you happen to attach it to a materia that can give it to your whole team, then definitely do that. Raise/Cure is obviously going to be 2 materials you want to bring for both healing and reviving your teammates. And finally, one materia that I just started using is called Deprotect, which will lower Odin's defense to physical attacks. Also, I ended up bringing Bio, aka Poison, on my Barret, and I had it on Cloud as well. Then if I use level 2 Deprotect, it actually lowers the defense of magic, allowing the poison to do more damage. We'll talk about Odin's weaknesses here in a bit, but this helped out a lot. All right, once you enter the battle, as usual, go ahead and scan Odin to see what he's weak to, and shocker, he's not weak to anything. I mean, this is Odin, for crying out loud. However, he does have lesser resistance to defense down and other effects, hence why I suggested bringing things like Deprotect. Now, in terms of pressure and stagger and just how this boss works in general, Odin is very different compared to other battles. Doing things like landing ATB commands, evading attacks, or inflicting detrimental status effects on him will pressure this boss. However, if you take too much damage, you run away from him too much, and you basically make Odin bored, he will then sound Galahorn, which basically spells your doom, as he's going to unleash his ultimate attack, Zantetsuken, which will KO you. No matter what, you're dead. Now, usually in these guides, I talk about the attacks to avoid, then go into some stuff that I recommend doing to counter said moves. However, I'm going to flip it around this time. First thing I want to do is go over the strategy, since we are bringing Yuffie, and I know a lot of players either love playing as Yuffie or not so much. You like to stick to your tried and true, right? For me personally, that's a mix of Cloud, Tifa, and then either Barret or Aerith, depending on the battle. However, like I said, Yuffie is MVP in this battle, no questions asked. As we stated before, if you take too much damage, and Odin gets bored and will basically kick your butt. However, it's based on the character that you are using. So if you stay as Yuffie, who is very fast and can move around very easily, then Barret and Cloud will block automatically most of the attacks. basically only switch over them to use magics or abilities, or to simply use R2. I know this is weird since 99% of the time it's easily recommended to switch between your characters and actually move around with them, but hopefully the B-roll kind of shows you what I did. I still switched over to the characters a little bit, but for the most part, I stuck with Yuffie. With Yuffie, you will want to throw your shuriken at Odin and then basically spam square until you need to dodge. Plus, when you're dodging around, the shuriken is still inflicting little bits of damage to Odin, which is going to keep him engaged. Then, between the dodges, you can go ahead and activate certain magic and other abilities to help move the fight along faster. This is basically what you're going to be doing for most of the fights. Again, this is going to make more sense when you see the full unedited clip, but trust me, this is going to work really well for you. All right, now let's move on to some of Odin's moves, and then we'll cover a couple extra things before you finally stagger him. Odin has two spear abilities that he will throw at you. One looks like a normal spear throw, and one looks like a very basic powered-up spear throw. Luckily, Yuffie is able to dodge both of these pretty easily. Just be careful a little bit with your timing, and try not to get caught off guard if you're trying to use any of your abilities or spells, or they will do some damage. Again, this will all lead up to him trying to use Gjallarhorn, which you don't want to see happen. Charge is exactly what it sounds like. Odin is simply just going to charge at you, so you can either perfect block this or dodge. Usually during this attack as well, it's not so much that the horse is hurting you, but he will swing his spear or weapon that he has during said move, so keep an eye on that, not the horse itself. Okay, now here's the big one that you need to keep an eye on that I keep talking about when it comes to Gjallarhorn and his ultimate move. Sleipnir's Furor, which yes, I know I just butchered that name, is a move that will give him attack and magic boost along with defense and magic defense down on him. If you see him doing this move at any point during the fight, you are doing everything correct and it means he is not bored with the fight. If you do not see this move and he goes straight into Gjallarhorn and into his ultimate right after that, yeah, you're basically done for. Also, if anytime during the fight you see him use Gjallarhorn, but then use Furor as the next move, then don't worry, you are actually safe and you have saved yourself, and he won't finish you off. Again, we'll get into a little bit of extra details about that later on. Lord of the Blade will have Odin summon one of the many swords that he has. This will then lead to an attack like Swift Punishment, where he'll jump into the air right next to you and attack you. So be ready to either move or block this. Leaping Clave is basically the same move, so I'm not really sure why they have different names, but it's basically the same thing. He jumps into the air, lands right next to you, and hits you with his sword. Shimmering Blade is just like one of his regular spear attacks, but you can't block it, so you need to move out of the way when you see this. Again, as Yuffie, you're going to be moving around pretty well because you want to keep a safe distance from him to keep throwing your shuriken when it eventually comes back to you, spamming the attack button, and using your abilities, your magic when you can. Final move to look out for is Full Moon Assault, which is basically him swinging his sword that look like the shape of the moon and attacking you if you happen to be next to him. As always though, simply move away. Now before we got into his moves, I mentioned using your magic to lower his defense and then using your teammates as well to use things like poison that can affect him as well. Hence why I suggested bringing a combination of poison and deep protect. Barrier is always a great spell to use as well because, well, it lessens the damage. And for Odin, it's mostly all physical attacks from his weapons, so you don't have to waste as much magic to use some of these spells. Basically, keep up this entire plan until you finally stagger him for the first time, then you can go in with some of your bigger moves. Or if you can't, use this opportunity to heal your full team up. When the stagger phase ends, he'll probably be at around 50% health, unless you are fighting him at full power. When his health finally does get down to 50%, he will activate Spatial Distortion, where he will split the arena in half basically. Now, you can actually keep your full team on one side, but more than likely, it's going to split your team to either have one person on one side with the other teammates on the other, or vice versa. You can keep switching between them, and he will jump between the sides of the arena. What I personally ended up doing was I stayed with Yuffie and then I used my other members to cast magic to help me out during this time. The distortion doesn't last very long, but just keep in mind that because the space is not as big, you don't have as much space to maneuver around, so you've got to be a little careful with your dodges. Oh, and as always, Phoenix is going to be a great summon here since you can give everyone a free revive. Just remember, it takes 2 ATBs, so you might want to use some abilities to give yourself 3 for a little bit. Now, you will notice at this particular moment, he actually activates Gjallarhorn warning, yet I have not really taken that much damage in the B-roll. You'll see in the full unedited version as well. Don't freak out yet though. Keep hitting him a ton, and there's a chance that he will actually activate Furor instead, meaning that you finally piqued his interest again. I was not so lucky though, and he did hit me with his ultimate attack, but that is again why I brought Phoenix to get my free revives off. My only guess as to why he actually activated Gjallarhorn, even though I was keeping him pretty entertained, is maybe due to the fact that I activated a summon. I'm not really sure, but regardless, we were still fine. The final move that he'll really try to do to you is actually apply stop via temporal imprisonment. So don't use that character and try to get your other teammates to get Odin's attention to get him away from said character, otherwise that character will probably die. Other than that, however, though, just basically keep doing everything that we mentioned beforehand and you'll eventually take the summon down. In fact, near the end, he actually activated Gjallarhorn, and then right after that, he activated Furore, which meant I was safe. Trust me, I was sweating a little bit because I'm thinking, oh god, 2 ultimates? Come on, Odin. Once you finally get the final blow delivered, it's all over. Now, here's a full run of the boss fight sped up a tad to show you how to take Odin down. This guy is a pretty fun summon to have, and his finishing move is super powerful against any enemy you fight against. I personally gave him over to Cloud, and then I gave Phoenix to another one of my teammates. If you enjoy the guides, then a like on the video shows us that you enjoy this type of content, and don't forget to check out our other Final Fantasy VII Rebirth boss guides, summon guides, and full playlist in the top right corner and pinned comment. Thanks for watching the video. I've been Talon with Direct Gaming. I hope you have a great day and week, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Johnny.
こっちはどうだ。